Well, tracking some breaking news at the hour, Hamas has said that it would agree to some aspects of US President Donald Trump's plan to end the Gaza war. Now, this includes releasing hostages and handing over administration of the enclave, but it also has added that it seeks negotiations over many of the other terms. Now, remember that Hamas issued its response to Trump's 20-point plan after the US president gave the Palestinian militant group until Sunday to accept or reject the proposal. Now, listen in to what the US President Donald Trump had to say on this.
I want to thank the countries that helped me put this together: Qatar, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Jordan, and so many others. So many people fought so hard. This is a big day. We'll see how it all turns out. We have to get the final word down and concrete. Very importantly, I look forward to having the hostages come home to their parents and having some of the hostages, unfortunately, you know the condition they're in, come home likewise to their parents, because their parents wanted them just as much as though that young man or young woman were alive. So I just want to let you know that this is a very special day, maybe unprecedented in many ways. It is unprecedented, but thank you all, and thank you all to those great countries that helped. We were given a tremendous amount of help. Everybody was unified in wanting this war to end and seeing peace in the Middle East, and we're very close to achieving that. Thank you all, and everybody will be treated fairly.
Well, on this, we have my colleague Priyanka Deo joining us on the telecast. Now, Priyanka, walk us through the details, help us understand, because the US President Donald Trump has clearly called this a very special day. We've seen a response from the Hamas. However, they've also asked for negotiations on certain aspects. Walk us through those aspects.
Well, just 29th, a few days ago, Donald Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu unveiled a 20-point plan for Gaza. They both call this a breakthrough moment. This is a roadmap that would essentially bring Israeli hostages home, as Trump just said, dismantle Hamas's military power, and also begin rebuilding Gaza as what they describe as a new Gaza, with investment, with jobs, with housing, etc. But Hamas has responded, and their reply is very telling. On the surface, Hamas says that they accept parts of the plan. They agree in principle to a ceasefire and even to prisoner and hostage exchanges. That sounds like progress, yet when it comes to the toughest parts, disarming, stepping aside from control of Gaza, accepting an internationally supervised government, Hamas has stopped short. They insist more on negotiations, that more negotiation is needed, and they set conditions tied to field realities, meaning they want flexibility and time and stalling rather than hard deadlines. So what does this mean? On one hand, Hamas is signaling that they don't want to be seen as rejecting peace outright. They are under enormous pressure, both from Israel's military campaign and from civilians in Gaza who desperately need relief. So by accepting some elements, Hamas keeps the door open diplomatically and avoids total isolation. But on the other hand, their hesitation reveals the central challenge, that for Hamas, disarmament is existential. To surrender weapons and control would effectively end their role as any type of military force, something they are unlikely to do just because a paper plan demands it. So this reply puts the spotlight actually back on the mediators and on Israel. The question now is, will Israel and the US accept a phased partial compliance, or will they view Hamas's reservations as stalling tactics? Already, Netanyahu has said that the Israeli army will remain in much of Gaza regardless, which undercuts the idea of Palestinian self-rule. So while the Trump-Netanyahu announcement was packaged as a historic day for peace, Hamas's response shows just how far reality lags behind rhetoric. We may see some short-term steps, perhaps an exchange of hostages, perhaps a limited ceasefire, but as long as Hamas clings to weapons and Israel refuses a Palestinian state, the root of the conflict still remains unresolved. So bottom line here, Hamas's reply was not a yes, not a no, but a strategic maybe, a strategic stall. And in the Middle East, that usually means more negotiation, more pressure, and unfortunately, more uncertainty on the ground and more suffering for civilians.
Right, Priyanka, that was actually a wonderful explanation. It's maybe from Hamas is what you're saying. Thank you so much for joining us and sharing those details with us.